Hey, storytelling Ron here, and I want to talk about paganism. And I just saw this video of Dennis Prager talking about it, and I wanted to say, see, I was right. That's how egotistical and smart I am. Whatever. This is episode 352, Paganism at the Paris Olympics. If you want to just see the title of this video, and I'm going to talk about a bunch of just news stuff, because I'm getting attacked a lot on my YouTube channel about how stupid I am, which is valid, but it is about hey, this is not a big deal. Paganism is not a big deal. You're overreacting and being too radical of a Christian. Anyway, so the Olympics opening ceremony, the left versus the Bible. No one ever mocks Islam in a pre-Judeo-Christian age. This is what he brings up, and this is what I continually say over and over in my videos. And it's great to see Dennis Prager. He didn't get it from me, but the Olympics opening ceremony. So they did call it the Last Supper until we criticized it, and then they just came out with X posting after X posting, article after article, trying to say it was paganism, not mocking the Bible, not mocking the Last Supper, not mocking Jesus Christ. We all know it's mocking Jesus Christ, and we all know it's paganism. Both are completely illegal to the Olympics, and yet they still did it. It's illegal, in their laws, in the Olympic bylaws or whatever, to do religious things. Well, they did a paganism. They're claiming it's a pagan ceremony. Well, that's a religious thing, and yet they're literally cannot see with their own dark lenses the lie that they're saying, and then they're covering up a lie and starting a new lie. And they know that we know that they're lying, but they're going to just keep lying. But that's their truth, and that is absolutely their truth. They believe there are no absolutes, no absolute truths. Absolutely, that's what they believe. They believe that there are no absolute truths, and they believe that's absolute. See, that's the reprobate mind of pagans and of this movement, of the woke movement, of the left, and of the left versus the Bible. This is the left versus the Bible. This is spiritual warfare. This is the Dungeons and Dragons, my role-playing games. This is the left versus the Bible. They say don't have religion and politics in Dungeons and Dragons. They're against the Bible. They don't want you to have the Bible in your role-playing games. They want you to have a mocking Christianity, if anything, but you cannot have Christianity. Christians, if you play as a Christian in your friendly Dungeons and Dragons game with all your friends, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Play as a Christian. Do the Great Commission. Seek to plant churches of Jesus Christ. What's going to happen in the game? Why is it that they get to play pagans or want you to play a pagan? Paganism is... I want to get that book out, but there's a book here. Dang it. I just want to keep ranting. But it says literally in there, elves, dwarves, giants, gnomes, whatever. That's all paganism. Why do you get that in your D&D, but not Jesus Christ? And you Christians, why is it that, oh my God, God and Jesus are so sacred, I can't do that? It's not about God, it's about you. God and Jesus don't need us, but you and I need to be who we are as Christians. We can make mistakes. We can say the wrong thing. We're Christians. We are sinners, but we are always seeking the Lord. We are taking up the cross. It doesn't have to be perfect. In other words, the character that you play in a role-playing game should be imperfect and silly and make mistakes, even as a Christian character, as a missionary in the game. You need to make that kind of character in these games, and my games do that, by the way. They're over here. The title's over here. Go to my website. That one's free. The Dark Ages. Dennis Prager now, Olympics opening ceremony was definitely mockery of Christianity, and it was pagan. Either one was illegal based on Olympic bylaws, and they don't care because they are pagan. Paganism has taken over Europe, right? 30% of less of Christianity in England, and look how bad that's happening. I'm going to touch on that here in a minute with the Islamic thing that's going on there, and the terror, and then the left and Labour Party supporting Islam and terror and flooding the country with young male soldier age migrants that are fleeing their Islamic countries. Why? Because it's horrible there? Why are they coming here? Because it's better, but they want to destroy it and make it Islamic? What Islamic country do they find to be so wonderful? That they're, this is a spiritual war. They are reprobate. They cannot see their own. The pagans can't see it, and the Muslims cannot. They're both same. Pagans and Muslims, same thing. They cannot see that what they're bringing is tyranny, Marxism, theocracy, control over people's lives. No one ever mocks Islam, is another thing he's going to talk about. They will not, pagans won't mock Islam, not just because terror works on pagans. Terrorism does work on pagans. It's not necessarily that, although that's a big part of it. What works on pagans is they hate Jesus Christ, right? They hate, if anything goes towards Jesus, we'll pick Islam instead. We'll pick a homeless and all the drugs and the trans and all that, as long as Jesus isn't in it. That's why people choose the tyranny and the Marxism all day long, and the child sacrifices all day long, is because those don't have Jesus in them. The world's going to hate Jesus. It's the only thing that makes sense. To all you libertarians out there, to all you Christians that want to get along to go along, they hate Jesus. If you think that you can play in a Dungeons and Dragons game or any role-playing game with your faith, try it. Do it. You should. You're a Christian. Why not? It's just fantasy. Play as a fantasy Christian and do the gospel. Why not? Not a big deal. It's not a big deal, right? That's what they say. If it's not a big deal and it's just fantasy, then play a Christian and speak the gospel in the game as a Christian character. Why not? If they say it's a fantasy and it's not a big, if you say it's fantasy, then play a fantasy Christian who just speaks the gospel of Jesus Christ. Do it. What's the big deal? It's a sky daddy. The Bible is a fairy tale. So if it's a fairy tale, you can put it in the D&D game. Right? It's official canon in the Sword Coast book. It says that there are weird, strange other gods that come up every now and then. Voila, the unknown god. There it is. Bring it into your faith into in your role playing games. Oh, you're gonna get kicked out. Gee. So what are you gonna choose? A pre-Judeo-Christian age. I never termed it that way, but that's cool. I mean, he's a Jew, but whatever. I like Jews. I like Israel. Although he should come to Jesus Christ. Pre-Judeo-Christian age means he's saying we're not some postmodern age. We're actually returning back to paganism before Israel and before the church, the history of the church. I mean, paganism was widespread. Israel, the thing about Israel is they never evangelized, right? They just stayed in their area. The evangelism was that God is real, and the message of Israel is that God exists, and the world was annoyed by that, and that's why the world hates Israel today. But back then, especially during the church history, paganism was everywhere. Slavery, human sacrifice, Marxism, everything was a dictatorship. Conquest. There was nothing about capitalism or individual rights, or your capitalism means you own your own donut shop, you own your own music, you own your own game you design. That's capitalism. You own your own capital. That's individual rights. That's what that means. That never existed in the pre-Judeo-Christian age. Back then, everyone was owed allegiance to someone, and thus they were a slave to somebody. You as a duke, baron, prince, whatever, warrior, chieftain. You were a slave to some, whoever was in power at the time. Paganism is about power, slavery, horrible harems, and women were chattel. There was no equality, no individual rights for women, no individual rights for a family. Like a family didn't get to protect their own life and children. They were owned by the state, which is the paganism. So he's saying we're going back to a pre-Judeo-Christian age, which is fine. It's the same thing I am trying to say. Paganism is on the rise. It has taken over the RPG culture. It has taken over everything. And here we are. And people are telling me I'm doing the satanic panic. We should call it the pagan panic. The pagan panic. Okay? Whatever. Look here. I love Friar Calvin Robinson. Is it Friar? This guy's awesome. I've subscribed to him. The schools are going to now wage war on putrid fake news and anti-extremism crackdown. So the schools are now going to brainwash the kids to believe what the left wants. And the schools have always been that way, the public schools. I want to do another video on the church and state. But when the church, separation of church and state, that started. Sorry, I just want to get my face in here. The church and state, that started when the separation of church and state started when the church ran the schools, the church ran the hospitals, the church ran the universities, the church ran the communities, right? Who runs those today? Who runs the orphanages today? They were created by Christians. An orphanage was created by orphanages is a creation of Christians. Hospitals is a creation of Christians. Even in the Middle East, where they had some of the biggest hospitals, guess who ran them? Christians. Coptic Christians or Orthodox or whatever. the monasteries began running orphanages for the widow and the orphan and the wayward and the lost. Who runs when the prostitutes in Asia, in the sad story of the Southeast Asia, where all the freaking men go to get their prostitutes, when they get AIDS and all, guess who takes care of them? Nuns. Who else takes care of them? Nuns. The nuns do. When they become discarded by the prostitute city, red district or whatever it's called, they go to the nuns and live there until they die, because Christianity is so bad. So let me go back to this. So this is happening now in the UK. The UK is like 30% or less churchgoers, and I keep posting, go back to church. And I mean, not the Church of England. I know the Church of England is progressive and corrupt. You got to rebuild the church is what I'm trying to say too. Go back to church means rebuild the church. Rebuild it, make men of renown, men that rebuke the sin of progressivism, the sin of the left. This teacher here in America says, I saw education for what it really was, the greatest social justice, brainwashing implement thing. The public school system, there is no separation of church and state. I'm against that now, because the state is running everything. They won't even let churches feed the homeless without all these regulations. They killed by 1,000 cuts with all these regulations, and they know it. So the state is taking over everything, and the church is like, oh, we don't want to be, we just want to be our own little church. We want to be painted in our own little corner, and that's it. The church used to run the schools. It used to run the orphanages. It used to run the hospitals and the universities. It ran the communities. Everyone would come to the church for basketball. The YMCA was created by Christians. Basketball was invented by Christians. Football was created by Christians. Soccer football in England was created by Christians. In Christian culture, all this stuff was created, and we always had chaplains and priests and pastors coming out to bless things or whatever. Now the state runs everything. The state runs youth groups. The state runs the schools and runs your children. And now the state wants to take your children. Why is this happening? Because we are not going to church. We're not building the right churches, and we're not lifting up pastors to fight and to lead us. We're the shepherd. We're the flock. We have a shepherd. We're the flock. We're the most powerful in the world. But we're not doing anything now because we're backing off. We're thinking that we need to remove our faith because it's just fantasy. I'm going back to D&D. It's just fantasy. You don't need your faith or politics. What they mean, you don't need your Christianity in it. Oh, they're going to do paganism and politics, just not, because the whole concept of paganism is being a hero, is doing your own thing, achieving things, winning, getting treasure, self-gain, glorifying yourself. That's paganism. And that's exactly what you're doing in all role-playing games. Doing good works, fine. Yeah, you're doing, I'm saving people, but I get the rewards. All right, so this guy is now saying they're coming for us. They're coming for Americans who like my video right now is, I think, illegal in the UK. And I actually want to go next year for a family wedding. But I got to think about it. Look at that. This guy is saying, we're going to arrest you Americans if you criticize the left, right? The left. The Labor Party. When they didn't do this, right? The Tories were terrible. Obviously, they're like sort of a false Republican or false conservatives. They kind of messed up. I agree, but they didn't come out with this crap during that period. But now they're saying we're going to arrest you for what you think. There's even, and I don't have any more, but on the X, there's a woman who prays in front of abortion centers, and she's arrested twice, and now a third time. The guy came up to her with a question as a police officer and said, "What are you thinking?" Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, "Are you praying? Are you praying to protest abortion?" If she's in her own mind doing that, he's going to arrest her. And she said, "I've already been arrested twice, and they can't do this. Why are you doing this?" And he's all, "Because I believe you are breaking the law." And she goes, "But I already did it." They're a reprobate. They're coming after Christians. They hate Jesus. It's the left versus the Bible. If I want to use Prager's term there, that's fine by me. Left versus the Bible. That's the entire battle right now. That's it. This guy is against the Bible. The Tommy Robinsons and the and all of them that are fighting for this, I wish, and I know he's Christian, so the thing they're fighting for, what they need to realize is they're fighting for the church. They need to realize that they need to get back to church and join the churches and organize that way. Look at the Muslims. They all get in their prayers. They all get in their rows and bow, and they're all doing the mosque thing. They're all part of a mosque. Their organization, everything they're doing in the UK, they're voting. They vote block. I say this every now and then. Ecclesia. Ecclesia is the term in the Bible translated in a church. But ecclesia in the Greek times was a group of people a voting block. A voting block. They formed ecclesias to vote during their democracy. The founding fathers of the church, the disciples of Jesus, called it their form in Greek ecclesias, and there's a chapter ecclesia or something. That means a voting block. The mosque and the Muslims are doing it. They vote in a block to get their little local candidates in the councils. They believe in government, by the way. They love government. They love control. That's their hobby. That's where they want to go. They don't even want to go to like a business. They don't want to have to sell cars or make things or invent things. They don't want that. They want government and control of your life. They want conquest. And the way they see it doing in the West is, and it's so easy for them, they see, is to just take over local governments. That's all they want. They don't want to actually do real work. Pagans don't really want to do real work. I mean, they will if they have to begrudgingly be a barista, but they don't barista, whatever. They don't want to actually do work, hard work, and then achieve things. He's saying we're going to come after your thoughts, your speech, and coming after Americans. And so he's, and obviously if Kamala and Waltz are elected, they will allow extradite U.S. citizens. Isn't that amazing? That's really going to happen. I mean, of course it is. Why wouldn't it? And I literally don't think I can go to England. Like I'm a nobody, so they don't really know who I am. But I'm just saying that could happen, right? Based on what he's saying. Okay, that's the same one. Okay, that's just all that. This Jewish man was stabbed here in New York City by I guess a black lib dude here. And here they're saying, they go into a subway and say, any Zionists in here? And there's like 10 or 12 of them chanting, any Zionists in here? If you're a Zionist, we want you out. Repeat after me. Raise your hands if you're a Zionist. Look, he's stuck in the subway. Look at, they're all wearing their balaclavas and Muslim garb. Raise your hands if you're a Jew, basically is what they're saying. And this is your chance to get out now in the subway. So this is happening across America. They support October 7th. Why is this happening? Why are they coming after the Jews? Just like in 1938 Weimar Republic or whatever. It's because the church is incredibly weak. We are weak. We are giving in to them. We're giving in to them just in D&D. As a Christian, we're giving up our faith in a role-playing game. You say it's just fantasy. I say, wow, you really are going to give up your faith for fantasy. For a game, in a game, that's how easy you give up your faith as a Christian. I'm mocking you Christians. I'm yelling at you Christians. I don't mind. Look, I don't mind that you. I really don't mind you playing role-playing games, Dungeons & Dragons. I kind of just don't mind, even though I'm using hyperbole here, but I'm saying, what the heck? Like, I don't think it's a salvation issue, but it is a huge issue. What are you doing for the Lord, and why are you letting others dictate how you live your life joyfully for the Lord? It is joyful to play a role-playing game where you play as a Christian using your faith. I'm gonna tell you that right now, as a 45-year veteran GM, DM, Dungeons & Dragons, Space Master, Roll Master, Call of Cthulhu, all these other RPGs I got here, D&D 5e. It is such a joy to play evangelism in a game. It's hilarious. It is fun. It is edifying. It is ministry. It is fellowship. It is sanctification. It is wonderful. It is just so awesome. And I'm so now interested in church history, which I've never been before as a Christian. So it's time to fight, man. It's time to take up your cross. And it's not hard. You guys think it's so hard. It's not a burden. Jesus said he's not going to, you don't have to convert anyone. You don't have to forcefully convert anyone. That's Islam. Islam, you have to forcefully convert people. And so think of the emotional slavery they're in. You and I, all we have to do is be a messenger. That's it. We don't have to force someone to convert to Christianity. We don't have to kill someone who's an apostate. We don't have to threaten anyone with violence or death. All we have to do is play a game where we evangelize. That's it. That's all Jesus wants us to do. Play the game where you evangelize. That's it. My game is fun because one, you get to play it in a safe environment. It's so safe. You're in a safe space, and you get to get some other Christians play it together like that. But what's cool is it gets the wheels rolling. It gets the formulation, the articulation of Christianity, of evangelism in the game, and you guys have fun. And have your cake and eat it too with this game. You get to play sort of a D&D style, or Dark Ages, or post-apocalyptic, or Christians in Space, Star Warsy like thing, or whatever. You get to play a real game but then you also get to think about evangelizing in that game, and how you evangelize, and building a church, and how that feels, and stuff. It's fun. Why are we doing it in the game and not in real life? You have to practice. You have to get it back in your psyche. I don't have it in my psyche. I've never practiced. I've never done it. I've never done evangelism in real life, right? I'm doing it now, I guess, on this YouTube channel. But I've never done it in the sense because I've always obsessed over D&D. If you look at my channel in the earlier videos, all I've done is D&D stuff. I've never evangelized. Now I'm evangelizing because I'm blanking the game and I'm evangelizing. This is my evangelism. Okay, whatever. But it's just fun. It's easy. Once you get rolling, you got to start though. And the best way to start is to take up your favorite thing and do it for Christ. Do it for God. The glory of God. All right. In the game of life, folks, we gotta roll holy dice. Oh, jeez, I'm at the very end here. I am doing a backer kit. I'm trying to get it rolling. I kind of messed up the start date of it. I'm going through the review process right now, so please stay on notice with me. I'm going to try to get that backer kit going for the Christians of Space. It's going to have more stuff on it. I'm still waiting to finish my character. I'm waiting for some print books to come in. Anyway, I'm working hard on it though. I'm working hard, trying to get this out to you, trying to get you to understand. In the game of life, and in this game, in the game of life, roll holy dice.